Hello, everyone. Super evening to all of you. Am I audible? Am I audible to all of you? Can you just put the chat box loud and clear? LNC. Am I audible to all of you? Wonderful, wonderful. So wonderful. The Delhi's weather is wonderful today. It rained in Delhi. I just want to tell you. And very good evening, Prateek. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Yeah, wonderful, 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 wonderful. Nice, nice, nice. I'm perfectly fine, Chara. I'm perfectly fine. Okay, I'm doing good, and I hope all of you are doing good. Now, so this is a special session I put, and I got a lot of queries from the students regarding. So what has happened that in the journey of UPSC CSE, students have a lot of things which are going on right now, the social media noise, and so I've been, maybe looking at how do I raise the energy, because remember, energy is everything. If your energy is down, you cannot do anything. If your mind is clouded, you cannot do anything. So we have to up the game, but for that, the energy has to be up. But before energy, you need to have that clarity to understand what exam is all about and why it is happening. So let me share the agenda of today. The first is we are going to understand the first attempt success process. That means if you are targeting to crack exam next year or in the next attempt, what you should do minimum. Because if you follow the template which I'm sharing, and I've seen people doing that multiple times, but that number is few. But again, as I said, as I believe that we are few people who are dreaming big and want to attain something which few people do that. So that way it is something there. Then the path of the journey. Now, what we have to do, today I'll discuss about the milestones. The milestones means that if you're targeting the exam, UPSC, what should be the milestone that you should have in the process? The third is benchmarking. Now, how do I know that my preparation is moving forward? I'll show you some examples of benchmarking that is topper copies or the prelim score, and that is how you'll be able to understand. And the fourth challenge, which I regularly take polls, and when I ask the students, they say that the consistency breaks every few days, the execution is poorer and weaker. Now, my intention is to help you win. That is my objective. I want to see each of my students doing well in their life first, and selection is just a byproduct of that. Okay, so before going ahead, let me share very important data. Everybody write in the chat box BIO, bring it on, BIO. I want all of you to contribute, participate, and understand. I want to share certain things about the journey of UPSC. And I was doing some research and I came across this data. So this data is based on 74th annual report of UPSC. Okay, that means official data of UPSC. So if you go through the data of this UPSC, you need to understand that how many people get selected. So the data will actually astound you. Almost 50% of people, almost 50% of candidate, and this was 2022, maybe similarly we can say that 25 or 26 would be similar times. So let's say 5.5 lakh people are giving the exam. Out of 48.2% people were first timers. That means almost every year we can say with one certainty that half of the people are first timers who are giving exam for the first time. But the people who get selected for the first time in terms of all selection which happen is 6.2%. That means the first attempt success ratio is just 6.2%. Right? Now that is the data I want you to remember. And I want you to be in this 6.2%. Write in the chat box. Be in 6.2%. Write on, everyone. I want you to write it here. Be in 6.2%. How you can be in 6.2%? Yes, I have to be in this 6.2%, remember. And for that, we have to make an effort. Or next attempt, if you have given already exam, the next attempt. So next attempt, I have to be in that. Second attempt, maybe 12.6% people. So everybody who is giving exam for the second attempt, 12.6% gets selected. The third attempt is 22% and fourth is 22%. So broadly, we can say that because I assume that people should not prepare more than 2-3 years. That is my agenda. I tell that prepare only for 3 years maximum. 2 years or max 3 years. The journey cycle is minimum 2 years. The maximum it can be 3 years. So, and I believe that, and I did the same thing when I was an aspirant. I prepared my whole journey of preparation right from zero till the selection was not more than 2 to 3 years. Okay. Now, so, and then of course, the people who get selected in the third attempt and fourth attempt, that data is 22 and 22% close to that. Now, in the last 14 years of my journey as a mentor, I have seen that a lot of people got selected in the first attempt. And for that, you need to understand who are these people and what exactly they do and why they are able to do that. There are multiple reasons. The first is that These are the people that they focus on these things. Okay, they focus on clarity. So when I want you to write in the chat box clarity. So whenever you are going to start anything, always we'll seek clarity. Okay, what to study, what to skip, that means what not to study, what is the expectation of UPSC, what does commission wants from the exam or the subject, how to prioritize, because UPSC is a long journey and you'll have multiple things to do, and that is where you have to prioritize. So as a mentor, my objective would be to help you gain clarity in your journey at all levels. So these are things that I want to tell you. You must be thinking that why I always repeat these things, because when I say these things again and again, and this is what I've seen, it gets in your mind so deeply that whenever you do something, moment I put it, let's say I pick this notebook, the first thing I would ask, okay, is this the syllabus of UPSC? What topics can come from this question? Let me check that. Okay, how many PYQs have come from this area? What kind of question UPSC asked? And moment you start asking these questions, your preparation becomes very easy because you are asking the right question, and that is where clarity wins over everything. The second is strategy. Now, strategy is something which is very individual and very personalized. I can give you a macro strategy, but we have to develop our own micro strategy for studies, because we all have different challenges in our life. Some are college people, some people are working professionals, some are preparing full time, some wants to give 2 years down the line. So we need to create a strategy which will be workable for you. And for example, how to study, what should be my revision system, how should I do the PYQ analysis, when should I start the answer writing, how I should give tests, and all these are things that regularly, consistently, I'm going to help you develop them. And when you start putting effort, so for example, when my students give test, so let's say you're giving test tomorrow, okay? Let's take an example. So let's say you're giving test tomorrow. So what happens after test? Nobody tells you. Okay, when you solve the first set of PYQs, what will happen? Nobody tells you. What if when you are solving the first set of questions after your study, what happens that if the score is less? Nobody tells you. Nobody tells you that what should be done. If there is a negative thing which is not favorable to your understanding, how you handle that? Nobody tells you. So students have to figure it out on their own. And this is what I've been doing in the last few years, where I help a student to understand the process and bring them clarity. Because success is 80% mindset, 20% is strategy and execution. Very important. But 80% is here. Are you able to handle the challenges of your life? And we all have our own challenges. Everybody is going through something or the other. How many can relate with what I'm saying? Write in the chat box, me. How many can relate with what I'm saying? How many feel that you have challenges in your life, your family challenges, your life challenges? You feel that, okay, I can just give 2 years of my life. I feel things are tough for me. How many feel so? There's a peer pressure, there's a job pressure, my friends are doing better, or maybe I'm just in college. How will I clear the exam? All those things which must be going in your head. So that is where we have to handle all these things, and I will help you develop them. I want you to win. Remember, I want to see you winning every day. And win does not happen when your name comes finally in the list. Win will happen every day. One day, one activity, every activity a day, step by step, investing in the process, understanding my limitation, working on them. And I want you to start believing in yourself. That is very important. Because when I saw people, because if you have 1% believe in you, I have 99% believe in you. But you have to take that 1%. A lot of people have this tendency that they have a self-worth which is very low, and we have to address that. And that is where mindset becomes very important. And then, of course, the mentorship, where I would help you in developing your accountability system, feedback, course correction, and always I'll come and remind you things. And you have access to me all the time. You can message me, you can get my time and make sure that things happen. And how do we bring consistency in our effort? So that is the whole idea. And if you follow all these areas, if you start, I'm assuring you one thing, that you will be much ahead of the crowd. I have seen people cracking prelims in 4 months. I have seen people cracking exam within a matter of a year. And they're not moving mountains. They are just following a system process. And of course, they are high on productivity, the focus is very high. So this is where the approach. So I want you to believe in these things. And I don't want you to, prepare for this exam, because the ecosystem outside is very important. The outside environment will pull you down. Their negativities, they will tell you things will not work. UPSC is tough. Of course, it's a tough process, long process. The expectations are huge. Commission tests you at multiple level, and we don't have those skills, or we need to work on them. They want you to be a leader tomorrow. Just ask yourself, if you want to serve and become a leader tomorrow, don't you think that your attitude should be positive? You should have good knowledge about India. You should know, what will work. You should have a go-getter attitude. You should be ready to take challenges. You should be able to handle pressure. Just ask yourself logically, don't you think that these things should be there as a leader trait in you? Then how will you serve society? So UPSC tests these things through the exam process, and the cycle is bigger. And that is where, when you make sense out of what they're expecting, it is very logical. They're testing your thought process, your clarity of thinking. Do you really want to serve the society? Let's see, is it visible in your answers or not? So when you do that, rest will follow. But for that intention, remember, why has to be there. Why you're preparing for the exam? You're preparing to serve the society. You're preparing, maybe you want a good job, a good quality life. You want to, doing for respect or dignity, or it could be anything. Always search your why. Because I will be help you finding your why, but then my role comes where, what and do, what and how is something that we are going to decide. So basically, why aspirants, give multiple attempts? And that is a question I've been asking multiple times. And if you just listen to what I'm saying, and we have milestone. For example, next 4 months, there's a milestone. In next 4 months, I want you to have a milestone, smaller milestone. Every weeker, there should be milestone, something that you should look at. There should be weekly target. There should be daily execution plan you should have. And we'll develop all that. Minor circle session and these activity session. Then in June, from June onwards, we'll have one more extra class every week for current affair and separate, theme wise, we are going to start. And I'm going to take a feedback on that. So first is, what are the demand of UPSC? Always invest here. Take some time, whether it is optional or GS subject or any subject. Then how should I prepare? And I'm giving example of students whom I have seen their journey. So Dhwanish was able to complete his syllabus in matter of 7-8 months. Entire GS 1 to 4. Of course, he did self-study and he followed limited sources. How can you score high scoring answers? Now I'll show some answers today. And I'll show you, these answers will actually land you in top ranks. Then how to revise? Now these are questions that cannot be solved in one particular day, but that is how we'll develop that. The 4R strategy, the active recall method, and these are scientific process. Then how to avoid the common mistakes. Commonly people are doing it. Because outside world is giving you a lot of information all the time, and you are information junkie. And that is where I want you to think logically. And I want you to, as a mentor, I'll help you get clarity. But at the same time, you don't trust me. You trust yourself. Because if I'm telling you something and if you start following it, you will start seeing the results. And then the trust will go up. Till logic. The chairman of UPSC just now gave the keys. And what he said, we have paper is tough and all everything. And he said that we prepare questions from standard books, government websites, primary sources. That is what he said, which students usually follow. Then when I ask aspirant, what are you following standard source? Sir, I'm following a PDF material, a monthly magazine. So that is not a standard source. Are you following NCRTs? Are you following IGNOU material? Are you following NOS material? Are you following newspapers? Because these are the expectation of UPSC. They don't want, they want a guide prepared by Edge Learning Hub. They're not following that, right? But they are definitely following that. Probably you're following the wrong approach. And that is why the paper becomes difficult. Okay, so these are something that we have to understand. So our mission is to learn about these, and before we jump into the preparation, set the context first. Maybe it will take 20 minutes, 15 minutes, but then for the whole week will be on the clarity based approach, because you'll have bad days. You'll have days when tests will not happen. How many of you felt that you were not consistent the last week? Tell me. How many feel that you were not consistent last week? Just put here. Yeah. Swati. Yeah. Vignesh. Okay. Pratik. Logesh. Yeah. Yeah. So how many of you felt that you could have done better than what you did? Yeah. Yeah. How do we make it happen? Write in chat box. No fear, no guilt, no excuse. No fear, no guilt, no excuse. You will not have guilt of this. You will be fearless from today. And you will not give any excuse for anything. You will take control of your life. You will own the effort you're putting. Because ultimately, you will decide the outcome. Nobody else can.